Switzerland, and the rest of the world, Supersonic's money transfer has got you covered. With the largest payout network in the Gambia, you can now receive your monies anywhere you are, from Kartong to Koina, with less hassle. Yes! You can receive monies from your family and friends in UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland, and the rest of the world with our safe, secure, fast, and convenient service that offers you the largest selection of payout locations in the Gambia. Supersonic's money transfer. We are currently in 34 African countries and counting, giving you quality money remittance services that are second to none. Visit the Google Play Store or the Apple Store today to download the Supersonics Money Transfer app and enjoy excellent money transfer services only with Supersonics.
Good morning, Piers and my colleagues. Good morning, members of the press. Welcome to the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education to this press briefing. I suppose we all understand the objective today, or why we are gathered here. And as usual, I want to say, please let us concentrate all our questions on on the subject, that is the GABES results, grade 9 results. We don't want people to start asking us about teacher transportation, hardship payment, and other things, because the objective of us meeting you is to discuss about the grade 9 results which are just released. Any question pertaining to the grade 9, we will entertain and we want to provide the answers. But you want to start telling me Mr. Job's salary was not paid, or there's a difference of $5 which is still not paid, you're wasting our time, wasting your time, because I wouldn't have those answers available. Because I need to look into the issues. I need to fall back on the data that you are asking for. So please, I would implore each and every one of us to concentrate all the questions on the grade 9 results, because that is why we are gathered here today. Am I understood? Thank you very much. So now I have the pleasure to invite the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Louis Moses Mendy, who will be the subject of discussion today, because I know all the questions will be going to him, as it is said in all of Kubol Buki Khajbola. So today he's going to be the one that you will be firing the questions, but his lieutenants are around, and we will be there to support him to make sure that he sails through all hurdles that we are confronted with. Huh? Thank you very much. So, Piers, you're welcome, sir.
Good morning, my colleague, Mr. Job. Good morning, my other colleague directors who are here, and all other senior officers, and the team from the communication unit. And good morning to my dearest friends, the media, who are here this morning to share with us the press conference on the release of the grade 9 results. We do understand that there is a lot of public agitation in terms of results. But before we get to the results, let me just remind everyone that the grade 9s were scheduled to have started the exams much earlier than they were started in July. But because of those hurdles we had in the phonies, which most of you could remember, we had to reschedule the exams to start from July 19th going down. So the exams were really completed at the end of July. And this is 27,000 students that sat to the, over that. 27,000 students sat to that. So we needed time, or work needed time to have marked those scripts and finalized. According to work schedule, and also according to their agreement with the ministry, they were supposed to release the results the last week of September. And I'm happy to inform you that they indeed released the results on Saturday, the 24th of September 2020. That's when they released the results file to the ministry. So what the ministry did was also to look at that result file and try to analyze the results. At this point, I want to make some clarification. When we say we analyze results, we do not just look at who scores 6 credits, who scores 7, who scores 8. What we look at is to detail out every subject that was entered to by the students and what is the performance like in each of those subjects. The rationale for the detailed analysis is to help us to say we need to do some extra work in English, for example, in mathematics, in science, in SES, in physics, in general science, etc., etc. That will give or enable the ministry to be able to really portion the limited resources in addressing where the gaps are. So that's one of the things we do with the analysis of results. It's just not to say how many students score 6, how many students score 7, how many students. So we go beyond that. We look at in details the performance of the students, the trends of those students in each subject over the years and see how much we have been doing. We also look at the regional dynamics. Which region is performing well and which region is lagging behind or needs some extra help or some extra investment. We also look at the gender side of it. What is it like in terms of performance between the male and the female students? Then that will enable us also, as I said, to be able to see where we could do more work on as a sector. That will also not only give us an idea of the performance of the students, but what kind of help is required by the society. Because education is everyone's business and everybody has a stake in it. We have a role as the administrators. The schools have a role as those interacting with the students. The parents also have a role as the custodians of those children. So that is the kind of analysis we do when we look at that. So we want to expose you this morning to the performance of the students who sat to the 2022 Gabeke exams this year. There are two terms that are often used: registered students and those who sat to the exams. And I want to clarify that because sometimes the figures do not tally and people interpret them wrongly. When we talk about that student, we are referring to those students who entered to take Gabeke at the beginning of the year, that I want to sit to Gabeke this year. That is what we call a registered student. From the period of registration to the period of exams, we could perhaps lose some students inevitably, either by death or being disposed when they travel, or when they relocate, or when they sit to that, when being sat to, you are sick, you are absent, you cannot. So you will see the figures not matching because of those reasons. And I want to clarify that so that all of us have an understanding when we refer to registered and those who sat. It is not that everyone that registered who will sit to the exams. Okay? So, according to the, you could follow from any of the boards. According to, you can go to the next slide. Is it not small? What we did is to look at the number of students that are registered and those who also sat by region and by gender. By region and by gender. And do you remember, just to remind you, we have 6 regions, but one of the regions, which is South, CRR, is now divided into two, CRR North and CRR South. But that will not feature for this because that just took place last year. But we have Region 1, those who registered were 7,897, as you could see. Region 2, 12,000 plus. Region 3, 2,000 plus. Region 4, 1,000 plus. Region 5, 2,000 plus. And Region 6, 1,000 plus. So it gave you a total of 27,783 who registered. But out of that number that registered, only 27,018 sat to the exams. So this interests us as a sector because we want to know what happened to those students who registered and could not sat to the exams. Who could not, okay? So the narratives is there. You can look at it later on because we'll share this with you to do your own analysis. But what is important is the last row, which is the percentage of girls that sat to these exams. In Region 1, those who sat, 58.9% of them were female. 58.9. In Region 2, the same. And at national level, we have 58.9, meaning there were more girls who sat to the grade 9s than the males. 58.9, then you have what? 41.1. Male was 41.1 and female was 58.9. Okay. What we are saying is the second row, number of candidates with aggregates less than or equals to 42, meaning those students who scored aggregates between 6 and 42, less than or equals to 42. That is the second table. And we are doing region and also comparing last year and this year for you to see. So in Region 1, in 2020, you had 3,616 candidates. In 2021, you had 3,861. And in 2022, you had 3,684. And it all goes down for the regions. So in 2022, you could realize that the number of students or candidates who had aggregate 6, between aggregate 6 and 42 is 13,424, which is an increase over the last years, 2020 and 2021. There is an increase. In 2021, you could see is 12,148, and in 2021 is 12,354, and in 2022 we have 13,428. We go down to table 3.
All the regions
Yes, yes. I think, well, let me just flag in table 2. Yes, that you could see a steady increase or improvement in all the regions, except for Region 1. Could you see that? There is an increase in all, in terms of those who score between 6 and 42, in all the regions, except for Region 1. Region 1 last year, they had 3,861. But this year they had 3,684. So there is a slight drop in Region 1. But all the others have gotten some increase except for Region 1. So table 3 is number of candidates with aggregate less than or equals to 42 by gender. This is boys and girls. How many boys got this aggregate? Less than or equals to 42. In 2022, you see the figures there. Boys, 5,410, and girls, 6,738. In 2021, that also 5,286, and girls again 7,068. And in 2022, the boys we had 5,567, and then the girls we had 7,857. So you see the increment. So in terms of percentage, 2020, 2021, and 2022. In 2022, the percentage of boys is 48.7. The percentage of girls is 50.4. And the total, in terms of national, those who scored that between that aggregate is 49.7, meaning almost half of the students who sat to that exams, half of them scored between aggregate less than or equals to 42. We go to table 4. Table 4 is the number of candidates with passes credit by subject. Here, what we try to do is to look at the core subjects. That is mathematics, English, science, and SES. That's what we try to do, okay? If you look at English, for example, in 2020, you have 11,419. In 2021, you have 14,254. And in 2022, you have 13,662. So you will realize that in 2020, there was a slight drop, which picked up in 2021 and dropped in 2022. I'm sure you could see that in terms of English. And the credit, those who score credits less than or equal to 6, 2020 is 7,928, 2021 is 8,762, and 2022 is 8,134. It goes for maths, it also goes for science, as you can see, and it goes for SES. So what we can deduce from that table is that candidates with pass mark or credit in 4 core subjects, when you compare 2021 and 2022, it has increased in mathematics and SES, while there is a decrease in English and science. Meaning more students passed maths and SES in terms of credit compared to English and science. The 5th table, as you could see, is the trend of distribution of students with aggregate 6 by gender. Meaning the A student. And this one tries to look at what we call the flyers, the A students. And it is done by gender and by year. In 2020, we had 26 students with aggregate 6. Out of the 26 students, 10 of them were boys and 16 of them were girls. In 2021, we had 19 students with aggregate 6. 12 of the 19 were boys and 7 were girls. But in 2022, we have 31 of the students with aggregate 6. And out of the 31, 13 of them are boys and 18 are girls. So you could see again, according to the analysis, even though there is usually a fluctuation, but the trend is indicating that the female students or the girls continue to perform steadily well compared to the boys. So like I said, that gives the sector some thinking caps to see what needs to be done, because we are talking about equity. No one should be left behind. We don't want a situation where all the females are passing and all the boys are not passing, or all the boys are passing and all the girls are not passing. We want everybody to be on board. That is the ministry's interest. So we'll go to the last page 2, the last slot. In these slots, we look at the schools where those aggregate 6 came from. You remember we just spoke about those with aggregate 6. And when we look at the schools are right there on the board, with Methodist stopping this time. Last year, the public school edged the private schools in terms of those with aggregate 6. But this year, we've seen that the private school also edged the public schools. And we could see out of the 31 students with aggregate 6, 4 of them are coming from Methodist, the other 4 are coming from Dongmat Foundation, and it goes on St. Teresa's, SOS, Anna Marie Rivier, Anna Marie Javi, Musa Koli, Bara, and so on and so forth. As a sector, what we look at is regional dynamics, like I said. If you look at some of these students or some of the schools that are doing or that have scored 6, for example, Bara Upper Basic. You may recall that last year, one of the best students came from SO Bara. So as a sector, these are the things we pick and look at. What do we do to reinforce those performance or successes in times of investment? Because if a disadvantaged school from a disadvantaged region is doing well, then we need to look at how do we reinforce that. And this will take a lot of things in consideration, including the management of the schools, the teachers, the postings of the teachers or deployment of teachers, among others. So colleagues, this is what we wanted to share with you, that the results have been released as we talk. They are now displayed in the public media meaning in the public domain, and the issuance of tokens have started since yesterday. So schools can access their results from today going onwards if they have not started accessing yesterday. The tokens have been given to the schools by WEC, and all the students or all these schools should be able to access their results on this. Having said this, I want to once again thank my colleagues who are here with me, and more importantly, thank you, the media, for always responding to our call, and more importantly, showing interest in what we do and coming to share what we have with the general public, so that there is clarity, so that there is common understanding or knowledge about the performance of students, rather than just a selected few being exposed to the results or the performance of our students. On that note, I want to thank you very much once again, and hand over to my colleague for the second part of the press conference. Thank you.
Fraternity for coming to or answering to our call. I suppose it's very, very clear now to be able to digest what the results were. I just want to further say, when PS talked about registered and those who start to the exams, I think he explained the causes, which are inevitable. It will happen in any society. The issue of debt, people migrating, people being sick during the exams, and the number that registered and could not write was about 765. 765 did not write to the exam. Also, when he talked about the issue of pass and grades by subject, comparing 2022, in his experience, he alluded to why we need the detailed analysis, because that detailed analysis will enable us as a sector of management to say, okay, the problem of science and mathematics was what was raised last year. And English and SES were on the top. This year is the other way around, which implies that following last year's results, mathematics and science to address their shortcomings, and they have emerged better than English and SES. It is not supposed to be continuous. What is supposed to happen, or what we would want to happen, is to read that we are able to address all the problems. But just to tell you sometimes how people also can think. Maybe the math teachers were saying, no, this year we must make sure that we beat the English teachers. And they put a lot of effort into mathematics, and that is why in maths have excelled better than English. So these are some of the issues that DPS was explaining. And now we'll want to open up the floor. But as I said earlier on, let's concentrate the questions on the results, please, so that you will get proper understanding of what had happened. PS, thank you very much for that deal and the very clear explanation as far as the results are concerned. So the floor is open for your questions, please. Okay.
My question is, we've seen actually the number of students that are aggregate 6 to 42 increase in number. Are we correct to attribute this to the increase in number of students that sat for the exams instead of attributing it to improvement on the performance of students? I don't know if you understand my question.
We do.
Is it correct to attribute it to an increase in the number of students that sat for the exams instead of attributing the increase in the number of passes to an improvement in performance? Two, PS did say that when you got the results on the 24th, you took your time to analyze, to decide what next to do, to see what went wrong in what subject, in what region, and start as an institution or as a ministry to find a solution to those issues. I, as a teacher, want to believe that the teacher posting has a bearing on the performance of various regions. We've seen most of the aggregate 6 found within region 1, 2, and 3. We've not seen much in region 4, 5, and 6. I am believing that this is because you are still struggling to get teachers posted in those regions. Yes, you might have the presence of people in front of those classrooms, but not necessarily teachers, because I only call them teachers when they are trained.
Yes, and on the let's ask direct questions. Yeah.
Yes, those are my 2 questions.
We ask direct questions and make sure that they answer.
Yes, those are my questions.
It's like your second question was not directly where. I think the first question that you asked was where the performance was, where as a result of the increase in number of candidates, or how can the ministry? But the second one was like more of
Okay, the second one is
It's understood. It's understood. It's understood.
Thank you.
It's understood.
It's the struggle of
Do we We answer now, or we take another?
So if you have another, maybe maximum 3.
No, I think this one you need to take it because it's impregnated on its tool. We can go ahead with this one and then.
Okay. We are advised that since this is a long one, we can respond to that. Thank you very much, Mr. Jallo, for the question. And the observation is good. But let me just remind you that last year we had a similar number of 27,000 students plus who sat to the exams. So the obvious answer is is not because the number this year has increased, that is what warranted the 31. No, it's just that students performed better this year, or there is an increase in terms of those who got aggregate 6 this year compared to last year. It's not because of the number increasing. No, that's not the reason for it. Okay. The second question. I must admit that as a sector, we continue to battle with teacher posting and deployment of teachers. And we have always known that. And it is for that reason. That's why we came up with initiatives like hardship allowance. We've also come up with things like regional allowances to be able to teachers, particularly in the core subject like science, the sciences, mathematics, physics. I don't want to be repeating this, but just for emphasis sake, a school like Bolibana had never had physics, chemistry teacher. But last postings, not this one, the one that preceded this one, the 2021-2022 academic year, we were able to post a female trained professional in physics and chemistry, in fact, 2 to that school. What warranted that was those initiatives. 3 female teachers. But there was this female teacher who did chemistry and physics and is presently teaching there. So you can see dynamics have changed. The other thing that is also affecting the teacher deployment is in some of the schools, remember, it is only education that is present in every community in this country. You go to any cluster, you find a school there. It's only education. So in other words, we are the most exposed service providers in terms of regional dynamics, in terms of the remote communities. So sometimes housing becomes an issue for our teachers. The teachers are posted, they are willing to work, but they are being denied accommodation even by the communities. We do have those experiences. In fact, there was a community that had to chastise one of our teachers, and we threatened that we were going to close the school if they continue to chastise the teachers. So if people are out there to sacrifice, we expect that communal support to these teachers. And that is the challenge we have. That's I want to again say that is one of the reasons for this disparity in terms of the cream in terms of the flyers, those with aggregate 6. Even though, let me stress that as a sector, we are not too much interested in only the flyers. What we are interested in is ensuring we have equity. More people transiting from one level to the other. That is our interest. We just don't want to focus on this 31. Imagine out of a 27,000, if you just concentrate on the 31, where are the others going to go to? What will they do for society? So the interest should be in the general good rather than the privileged few. And that's what we try to do as a sector. That's our focus, to ensure that we widen the pass range rather than just focusing on a few who will score aggregate 6. Just to answer your question, I don't know whether I have tried.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, hold on a bit. And also to add on to that, if you look at the 10% of A this year and 10% of A next year are different. The denominators are not the same, it's the numerators are the same. So obviously, if you have 10% of 10,000 and 10% of 13,000, it's going to take. And you have 47.2 of A and around 49.7 of B. So it's telling you it's not about the figures or the increase, but it's about the performance.
Thank you very much. Yes. Name, please, and media.
My name is Mohammed Nadim Khan, and I'm from the Department of Law. Now, looking at the number of students with at grade 6, private schools are only grade 6 than public schools. In your analysis, what do we think?
Okay.
You had
10 public, 9 private. So it's not a significant difference.
Yeah, Google ahead. Any other? It's just
any other? Yes.
third one.
Okay, if you could answer that.
Huh?
Well, let's take a third one.
We talk
A
it.
female,
Take
please,
it.
now. You wouldn't mind.
Yes, otherwise. Yes.
Yes.
My name is Wanda Kamana. I want to know the answer. So my question is, in the analysis, you say by referring by gender and divided by percentage failure comparison.
Repeat your question again. To start with the question for a colleague, if you look at the schools, and let me perhaps again, through my colleague here, try to redefine what is public school and what is private school, so that we have an understanding or a basis. A public school is any school that government spends money on. The simplest definition is any school that government spends money on. For example, when government grants subvention to any school or aid to any school, that is a public school because government funds or public funds are being spent on that school. A private school is any school that is run privately or independent of the government or of the ministry or of the sector. That is what we refer to as a private school. So if you look at this list, out of the 19 schools that got 31, 10 of them are private and 9 of them are public. I don't know how significant in mathematical terms or in statistical terms is 10 and 9. But we are aware and we admit in my submission, I told you this year we have seen the private school stopping. Last year, it was different altogether. In fact, we had only 6 schools last year that were private that got the aggregate 6, compared to the 11 schools that we had that were public last year. So there is no disparity as such. Notwithstanding, we are conscious and we know there is work to be done in our public schools. We are more interested in our public school because that is our primary aim and function. Just to answer that. The second question, these students that start to grade 9, there is no grade 10 as we talk. There is no grade 10 yet. So they will all start together. So they can't catch up with anybody. They are not on a race with anybody. They are just getting their results. And by our plan and our calendar, we are expecting that by the second week of October, they should be settling down in school to start business. That's what the calendar of the ministry is scheduled to do. So we are on course, like I said. We were expecting results the last week of September, which we have now gotten, and we are sharing with you. As I talk to you, I'm sure some students will be receiving their results, and then admission will start earnest from next week, Monday, I can assure you, as journalists, you may visit some schools and you will see a lot of crisscrossing of students, parents, and so on in terms of receiving results and also seeking admission. So we are on course. Nobody is left behind. On the question of percentage of failure, our definition of failure, which we have constantly shared, is someone who sat to the 9 or 8 subjects and scores 0 throughout, meaning scores 9999. This year, those who got less than 54, those who got 54, meaning 9 in all their subjects, is 7% in 2022. Is 7%. I don't have offhand those who scored last year in terms of percentage, but this year's percentage is far better in terms of failure, meaning it is being reduced. And that's our focus as a ministry. We're interested in reducing our fail rate rather than having a few people passing and we have more people failing. That's not what our interest is. Okay?
Yes, thank you very much. Do you have any other?
Okay, thank you very much, yes, for that elaboration. The question that was asked, in related clarification to differentiate what is the public schools and what is the private schools. So it is very clear. One thing also, what as a country, what we have to realize that when you look at some of these schools, their enrollments when they are taking students, they are taking about underlying positions. When they are taking the students from grade 6, transitioning to grade 9, they normally take an exam and then the cream of students that will exist to that of grade 9 and grade 8. At the end of the day, those are the people who will sit in the exam. And the ministry, we are not looking at the people of performance. We are saying that education for if you take the cream of the students and then take it to a particular school, and those people come with a flying color, we cannot say that those people are performing than those people who have taken aggregate 4 or those people who have taken students who are lagging behind. So, for my definition, I won't say that those who are coming with aggregate 4, when you look at the caliber of the school, sorry, aggregate, grade 6 or 4, then I'm not saying that I cannot just damage those are the schools, some of the thinking of certain people that those are the schools that are performing very well. If I start the exam with this, Madam excelled very well, and then has gone to Gambia High School. I was almost a dropout. In that exam, I have been taken to another school. So if Madam continue to perform, I continue to just go down because the school that has taken me is not discriminating. Students is taking everybody on board. Then you cannot say that Madam schools perform better than that school. So that's what you have to understand. Some schools sit to the exams, to take students, cream of students, and then continue with those students. Those people will continue to perform. While you have taken those people who are almost failures, and then you have that they are so. I take a student, I take a school as a best student, that have taken almost failures, and then at the end of the day they perform very well. Those are the schools I cannot really ask to do that. Thank you.
Just a certain category of students who are really performing, but they may not be captured by this aggregate cohort of 642. I know from experience that we have admitted so many students with aggregate 43 up to 46, and we passed through them. They studied very well and they worked very hard, and they got a requirement to go to the university. Just to buttress what some of my colleagues have said, sometimes circumstances may not favor students to do very well to fall within this aggregate, the so-called the flyers. Sometimes they are the best really, but sometimes those other aggregates that are not considered to be very good. When the environment changes, they go to a better school with good leadership, with good teachers, they perform very well. And they get the requirement to go to the university. I can even give you an example in one compound. Two students, did the exam. They all went to a particular school. Let me say Newsrat. And, the one was, accepted with a very good result. They said, we can take you, but the other one, we cannot take you. The boy cried. I asked him to, where can we go? They go, take him to Muslim high school. We know these stories. And the boy came and we actually canceled him and we asked him to work very hard. His results will lie in his own hands. We will provide the enabling environment for him to do very well and go to the university. When the results were out, the boy from Muslim high school did better than the boy in Newsrat, in the same compound, and he cried. The other boy cried from Newsrat. This story came back to us and said, hallelujah. Sometimes, God, works in very wonderful. The result sometimes is entirely in the hands of the students. They need to work very hard, and the parents need to support.
Thank you very much.
Really. Thank you.
Yes. Do we have now at least three?
On that, when the crisis in Fonyi hit, some of our students were displaced because their families were displaced. So we couldn't have started exams with that kind of situation. What we are interested in as a sector is to give every student equal opportunity. So we had to extend the teaching and learning period for the whole of June to mid of July. In between, there was this, you remember there was Tobaski. And we never wanted our students, like I said, to have interrupted exams. So we only started exams on the 19th after the whole that, which allowed the students in the Fonyi trouble area settle down a bit at least and try to have some catch-up moments to be able to sit to this exam with their other colleagues in the rest of the country at the same kind of conducive environment. That was the main reason for the extension was the Fonyi issue, because we really wanted to support the students to have some conducive environment.
All right.
And I hope this time around we'll be represented well. Yes.
We were not represented well last year.
Just take it from there, Abla. Education is a ministry that has an open door policy. And we always said it. Before sitting in your corner and writing what you think, come to us and we will tell you what is happening. And I think that is what you have done today. So that, and that is even what I mean by will be represented well. So that when you go out, you are disseminating information that you have from the horse's mouth. There is no second party or third party to the information. You get it from the horse's mouth. We have shown you what it looks like. And from the statistics, if you know the percentage passing, obviously you know the percentage failure. But as PS alluded to, what do we call a failure? And he had even explained those with 9 credits in all their subjects is 7% off. 7% of the 27,763, you can calculate that and know how many students will do. So this is what we want, and we want you to keep it up. Anytime you heard about an issue, you are not clear about an issue, the office of the permanent secretary is open, or the regional director's office is open, or any officer in the ministry. This is a ministry that you can speak to the education officer, speaking to the permanent secretary, the same kind of information. So feel free to come forward and share with us your doubts so that we can clear the air for us. I mean, for all of us. And as you go, please, 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 let's make sure that we don't rely on hearsay or people just put up whatever they want in the social media and you take it to be true. As it is said in one of it's not fair to either of us. So thank you very much.
If you want to receive monies from UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland, and the rest of the world, Supersonic's money transfer has got you covered. With the largest payout network in the Gambia, you can now receive your monies anywhere you are, from Kartong to Koina, with less hassle. Yes! You can receive monies from your family and friends in UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland, and the rest of the world with our safe, secure, fast, and convenient service that offers you the largest selection of payout locations in the Gambia. Supersonic's money transfer. We are currently in 34 African countries and counting, giving you quality money remittance services that are second to none. Visit the Google Play Store or the Apple Store today to download the Supersonics Money Transfer app and enjoy excellent money transfer services only with Supersonics.
Himu tamalalte mi yalonko ebe sirim Washington tundole kono jam. Andung ima sartol mafa purka demaro sudo kabo mansa kundabulu. Natere kole akole sotonu birin nin coronavirus jankaro natan. Ise demaro nyini ka fomu ye Washington COVID-19 Immigrant Relief Fund. Ning isontela application ola. Ibe kodo sotola membe siala dola wuli kilimote. Yimanke juloti saka ka dontoro mi yalon iba jolale. Ila information o seke kuti mi yalon ko abe tankalale ando nyimu kuleti mi yalon ko ku koyre ngolem. Ila information o manta cikala wonyama doron ka di masakunala wala ikafumini ice. Ning application o ate bali nola pour ka kayto soto ni lefta kayto ni la wato men. Ise ning apply nole wala ide maro nyini pour ka apply ni man ninka kangola. Ning application o be commencé la septembre karo atil tang anin konontola 2022 sankono. Kata fo november karo atil tang anin nanola 2022 sankono. Ning application o mu free leti hani feng ita jola je. Ni lefta demaro sotola pour ka ning application o ke ni man ninka kangola. Kumandiro ke wawakla sain
Waaf dinañ la jàppale yow nga bindu daal waaf mbir mi benn cuni la wala lu ko ëpp daal waaf